Look, I know what you're thinking, and you're probably right, but can you just let me get this out? You're the only person who will listen without judgment. At least I hope so. God is just so much. It all started with, well, I guess it's not a start. Is it? It was a whole life. 17 years of marriage, 3 kids, and a whole till death do us part fairy tale. And believe me, it was a fairy tale. My husband, bless his heart, he was perfect. The perfect high school sweetheart, the perfect father, the perfect husband. He never fought with me. He just loved me. And that's where it all went wrong. I guess it was too easy. I started getting restless about 4 or 5 years ago. My life was a loop. Get up, get the kids to school, go to work, come home, make dinner, help with homework, and do it all again. It was just so mundane. I felt like I was suffocating in my own life. I wanted more. I needed a spark, a little excitement, something to make me feel alive again. And that's when I met Anthony. He was the new regional manager at work, older, divorced, and charismatic as hell. He saw me, really saw me, not just as a wife or a mom, but as me. He would text me about my day, ask about my passions, and compliment me in ways my husband never did. It was just a little innocent flirting at first. You know, just a way to pass the time. But it quickly turned into something more. We'd sneak off to hotels during lunch breaks, lie about work trips, and spend weekends together when I was supposed to be at my parents' house. It was thrilling. I felt alive again. I was a different person with him. He was a new car, a fancy vacation, and a thrilling roller coaster all wrapped in one. With him, I didn't have to be a mom or a wife. I could just be me. It was everything I had been missing. But all good things have to come to an end, right? A few weeks ago, I got the call. Anthony, he'd had a heart attack. He was gone, just like that. The whole world went black. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I was completely paralyzed by grief and fear. I knew I had to go. I had to get out of that house and escape from a life that felt like a lie. I needed to grieve for the man I loved. So I packed a bag and left. I couldn't bear to look at my husband or my kids. I couldn't even talk to them. I was sobbing so hard I couldn't speak. I knew if I told them what had happened, my perfect life would shatter. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And then the text started. My husband, my kids, my parents, everyone was reaching out, asking where I was. I couldn't respond. I couldn't face them. Not yet. I just needed some time to myself, to figure things out. I stayed at my parents' house, and they, of course, were the perfect enablers. They told him I just needed some space, that he needed to be patient. I told them what had happened, and they, bless their hearts, just wanted to keep me safe. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true. And then my husband found out. I don't know how, but he did. He called the police on me, for Christ's sake. What an absolute drama queen. Of course. The police found me with my parents. Perfectly safe, but that's when he hit me with it. He found out about Anthony. That was my D-Day, Friday, and everything fell apart. I came back a few weeks later. I was so scared. I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to deal with any of this. But my parents, they were sick of me. They said I had to go back and fix things. So I went home, and the second I walked through the door, I knew it was over. The silence was deafening. My husband wouldn't hug me, wouldn't even look at me, and I couldn't blame him. I guess I tried to talk to him, to explain, but he was furious. He started listing everything he knew, and I was just shocked. How did he know so much? I just stood there, staring at the floor, because what else was I supposed to do? I couldn't scream, couldn't cry. My husband, the perfect man, was finally angry at me. It was a new experience. And then I heard them, my daughters. They were listening the whole time. My oldest daughter, she came down the stairs and just screamed. At me, at me. Her mother, it was too much. I ran to the bedroom and locked the door. And I just sobbed. I sobbed for the loss of Anthony, for the loss of my family, and for the life that I had just destroyed. But what's worse, what's truly worse, is the emptiness. The nothingness. My husband, he's gone. Emotionally, he's just a shell. And the kids, they're not talking to me. The 2 youngest, they'll say a few words, but my oldest, she just ignores me. My family is a broken mess, and it's all my fault. I know it is. I should have told him. I should have been honest, but I couldn't bear to see his face, to see the pain I had caused. But I'm trying. I really am. I've been sleeping at my sister's house on the weekends, but I come home during the week, and last night, I finally broke down. I tried to tell him, I really did. I saw him come home, and I knew it was my chance. The girls were out, so it was just us. I tried to grab his hand, to just tell him, but he pulled away. He was so cold, so distant, and I just snapped. I told him I was so sorry, that I was a mess, that I was scared. I told him everything, and for the first time, I just let it all out. I cried, I screamed, and I begged for his forgiveness. I told him how much I loved him, how much I had always loved him, and I meant it. I did. I love my husband. He's my rock, my best friend. And even with Anthony, I still loved him. It wasn't a lie. It was just boring, but I never stopped loving him. And I just wanted him to know that, but he wouldn't listen. He just kept yelling, asking me why. And I told him I was bored. I told him that I needed excitement, that I wanted more than just our quiet life. I know. It sounds selfish. It is, but it's the truth. And he didn't get it. He looked at me like I was a stranger. So I told him everything. I told him how Anthony and I met, how we started texting, how we'd sneak off for our secret weekends. I told him I fell in love with Anthony. I know it was the wrong thing to say, but it was the truth. And he finally asked me the question I had been dreading. If Anthony were still alive, and you had to choose, who would you pick? I couldn't answer. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't lie. I hesitated, and then I just said, "That's not fair." And I knew it was over. He just looked at me and said he knew I was lying. And he left. He just walked away and went to bed. I'm so stupid. I'm such a mess, and I know I screwed up. But what else am I supposed to do? I just want him to understand. I want him to know that I still love him, and I always will. And even though I was an awful person, I'm still a human being. I still feel pain. So now I'm here, alone, and I don't know what to do next. I just want it all to be over. The divorce, the awkward silences, the hurt. It's just too much. I should have just stayed quiet. I should have just pretended like nothing ever happened. But I couldn't. And now I have to live with the consequences. I just hope he understands one day. I hope he knows that even though I was a terrible person, I never stopped loving him. Do you think he'll ever forgive me? A mess of my own making. I can't stop thinking about that night in the car. It was the moment everything I'd so carefully balanced came crashing down. I had rehearsed in my mind what I'd say, how I'd apologize, how I'd make him see that I was still the same person he fell in love with all those years ago. But when it came down to it, all that came out was the ugly truth. That I was bored. That a man I knew for 4 years gave me a thrill my husband never could. And the worst part, I still didn't have the courage to say that I would choose him. Even when I knew he was on his way out the door. It just felt too final. But it was final, wasn't it? He said he was going to see a lawyer, a divorce lawyer. And now it's real. The paperwork came a few days ago, and I just stared at it. The words blurred, but the message was crystal clear. This is really happening. I'm losing everything. And the girls, oh God, the girls, they won't look at me. The 2 youngest still talk to me, but it's like they're walking on eggshells. My oldest, she's the worst. She's so much like me. You know, she's so full of anger, and I can see it in her eyes every time she looks at me. It's like she knows I'm a mess. It's been a month since I came back, and it feels like a year. The house is so quiet. We go about our lives, me and the girls and my husband, but it's like we're strangers sharing the same space. He sleeps in the guest room, and I'm in our bed, all alone. I can still smell him on the sheets. It's torture. My husband, he's different now. He's not the man I married. He's harder, more distant. The jokes are gone. The quiet kindness is gone. He's just a presence, a ghost in our home, and it's all my fault. I took everything from him, from us, and I have no idea how to get it back. I don't know if I even can. I think about Anthony all the time. If he were still here, would it be better? Would I be with him? Would I be happy? Or would I have just ended up ruining his life too? I don't know the answer. All I know is that I'm alone. I have no one to talk to, no one to confide in. My parents are ashamed. My sister is angry. And my husband, he's gone. I just want this all to be over. I want to move past this, to forget it all, but I can't. Every day is a reminder of the life I had and the life I've lost. I made my bed, and now I have to lie in it. And it's so, so cold.